Welcome to the SPEAKPact podcast, where high-performing speakers and the producers who hire them merge to give you the insider secrets to the lucrative speaking industry. Antoniette Roze, your podcast host and celebrated speaker agent, unveils insider success strategies. Discover a nexus of thought leaders and bookers, maximizing your potential in each and every episode. Your ticket to ultimate speaking success begins right here. Catch the transformative insights waiting for you on the SPEAKPact podcast, hosted by the industry powerhouse herself, Antoniette Roze.
Welcome back to SPEAKPact. Today we're going to be talking all about negotiating. We are fabulous speakers, right? We're fabulous corporate trainers, but how do we negotiate those contracts to deliver the highest value we can while getting paid to the level that we really should get paid? So I have brought Jairo Borja to you today. He is an expert in the negotiations space. He's a seasoned deal maker. I'll read you a little bit of his bio, and then we will do the introductions. All right, Dr. Jairo Borja is the president of Borja Consulting Group. He is a two-time best-selling author. He is a seasoned deal maker, and he is devoted to helping subject matter experts to elevate their mindset, their strategy, and importantly, execute to close high-end deals that build scalable wealth. So welcome to the stage, Dr. Borja.
Antoniette. I said it right. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I would really like to dive into the area of you can be really great at what you do and kind of not so great, right, at sealing the deal, even undercutting yourself. And I believe that every deal that you make is actually positioning you as a brand too. So if you undercut your deal, then you're also undercutting your brand. So first and foremost, you're pretty young. What got you in this space, and why are you focused, really kind of laser focused on deal making in general?
Yeah, so very quickly, I'll be very short and sweet as much as I can. A little bit about me, Dr. Jairo Borja. I'm the president of Borja Consulting Group. I've been around 7 years. So what I do is I'm in the entrepreneurship training space. I work with a lot of clients, including the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in New Jersey. I oversee their all their programs. So when it comes to entrepreneurship training, when it comes to getting certified or bonded or whatever, so I oversee the curriculum, speaker, coach.
Yeah. So what actually moved you in to that space? What intrigues you about making deals? And
I was getting to that. Yeah. So basically, I've been in the higher ed, been into the financial services space for almost 20 years plus, and then pivoted 7 years ago into what I do now, entrepreneurship training and teaching folks how to raise capital, for real estate or for any deals, right? The asset doesn't matter. It's the mechanics and the systems and scripts used for that. So I have a program Elevation, and I do that, and I'm also a real estate investor. So to answer your question, it's my years of experience in higher ed and in financial services, and now I guess being in the classroom, and now pivoting from being the college student to now the entrepreneur. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, yeah, and you've proven your process. I mean, you own dozens, actually hundreds of real estate units. And so you've had to close a lot of deals. Tell us a little bit about, is there a through line? What have you found? Now, I know that some of our speakers and corporate trainers will say, well, closing on real estate is quite a bit different than closing deals for speaking and training, but not so much, right? You're really looking at what is that sweet spot? What will they bear as far as what you can negotiate, and how are you not cutting yourself short, right? So what's some of the through line strategies that you have discovered in these hundreds of real estate deals that you've made that can that is also true for a speaker or a corporate trainer negotiating and closing in on some of their engagement deals?
Yeah, it's over 500 plus units, but it's only 4 transactions. So,
Okay, well,
I can
that's
break it
good. That's
down.
good to
So
know.
I don't do that individually. I'd be, I might drive myself crazy, right? No, but to answer your question, it's all the same. It's all a due diligence process in the beginning, right? Even when you're looking for speaking gigs, looking for corporate clients, or even looking for real estate deals, it's all the same. You're doing a due diligence period there, and then there's the important
And when
piece.
you say due diligence, what does that mean? I mean, we all heard that terminology, but in your world, what is due diligence? What before you I get because this is the first step, right? Before you hit that negotiation table, you need to do your homework. So what does
Yeah,
that look like?
it's basically in the world of real estate, it's just doing your homework and looking at the right deal, knowing your numbers and knowing comparable comps. Same thing could be said in the world of contracts and speaking gigs, right? You have to know your comps, know your worth, and understand what X, Y, and Z conference or corporation is charging, and see if that matches what you're worth or what you're doing, and then from there even negotiating whether they're your ideal client, right? Because it could be, you could be going after a client or a corporate contract that's nowhere near what you're into or what you do, right? So that's very important to do that. And then it's also having a system in place, right? Having discovery questions and the right discovery questions and asking the right questions, right? Whether you're a sales guy or whether you're a solopreneur or have a team, the power of questions is so important when it comes to that, right? Because you could, if you ask the right questions, the closing call should be almost like a formality and just collecting a credit card and that's it, and signing a contract, right? So I'll give you an example. I had a summit a couple of weeks ago, all about raising capital, and then based off that summit, I still have pending about 7 to 8 discovery calls. Out of those calls, I was able to, already have a couple of folks that are, that enroll into my program. So long story short, I asked the right questions when it comes to the discovery call and uncovering the pain points of these individuals that are wanting to learn to raise, but just don't have the system or process or coach to kind of help them through that. So, and then thanks to what I taught, or thanks to the discovery call, I was able to now advance to that next stage, right? So basically, to answer your question, it's just having due diligence, discovery call, asking the right questions, the power of questions, and then that should lead to the closing call. But again, all starts with due diligence and knowing or speaking to your ideal client. So
Yeah, I want to dive into a couple of things that you talked about there because they are there's some real keys in that. Number one, do your homework. Do not show up to the negotiation table without your facts and figures, right? So you never negotiate on time. You're not negotiating your hour. You're negotiating the decades that got you to the solutions that you are providing. And you should have that data in your head. Let's just say that you are a retention, like you bring in resilience and retention into a corporation. Well, one person that is saved from quitting, right, can save an organization tens of thousands of dollars, if not much more. Multiply that by 5 or 10 people with your training that they bring into their organization, and that's a hefty sum. Come in with those facts and figures, because then your $20,000 fee looks like nothing, right? It's a no-brainer. But if you come in and lead with resume, and lead with, I'm fabulous, they're not going to, don't assume they're going to see the ROI. You need to bring that to the negotiation table. So in what I'm hearing you say, Dr. Jairo, is that you need to do your homework and come with those facts and figures.
yep, do your homework and have those figures ready to rock, ready to go, 100%.
Right. And then the second thing that you said, which is also key and so important, is okay, this is the typical, right? We lead with resume, not solution, right? We lead with resume versus value, and then we kind of hit the ground running with why we think we are great for them, right? Versus what you said, ask questions, sit at that table, that negotiation table or negotiation screen, right now you and I are across the table having a conversation, even though it's a remote conversation, and ask them you can in your homework, you can already get a feel for what their pain points are, but it's so much more powerful when they're the ones that verbalize it right there at the table, right? So ask them, "Hey, so what are some of the things that you're facing right now?" And then when they tell you, okay, what are some of the differences that could make if we could overcome that problem, right? And then they're basically telling you the math so that when you drop the price, not drop the price, but when you lay the price out on the table, they've already seen your value, but kind of coming out of their own mouth. So those are some really, really strong negotiation tips that you shared. Number one, do your homework, come with the facts and figures, ask questions, uncover what their pain points are, and then you become their savior, right? You're not begging for a job, basically a gig. You are actually providing a solution that many of those managers and corporate leaders are laying awake at night wishing they had, right? Okay, so now let's say we've decided we're a good fit. We've already decided that. How far can you push the envelope in negotiating those really great contracts? And then like how do you instinctively know I can push it this far? If I go any further, I might lose the whole deal. Is there kind of a rhythm to that?
Yeah, for me, it's all about rhythm and process that I've uncovered over the last couple of years. And again, it all goes back to speaking to the right individual and asking the right questions. And by asking the right questions, then when the discovery call, when the closing call comes, then it will be a lot easier, right? So what do I mean by that? So let's say, similar to what you was mentioning earlier in regards to asking the right questions and being able to be a solution based and that's how it makes it easier to to charge 20K, right? So or whatever number it is, right? So then from there, being able to, once you get to that closing call, then you'll be able to make it a lot easier, right? So what do I mean by that? So as an example, let's say if I'm asking the right question, or if this is an actual discovery call, right? I'm asking a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what's going on, your business model, a little bit about your pain points, right? And then the goal of the discovery call at the end is to have a micro commitment and say, okay, now that you've told me that you have XYZ problem, if I have the solution for this problem, would you mind, can I go back? Can I think about it, talk to my team, and then can I come back with some solutions for you? How does that sound? 9 times out of 10, they say, yeah, you know what, that's fine. Then on the closing call, then you'll be able to say, look, you told me this and this. Based off what you told me, I think we should go with this and this at this and this price. Or, you know what? And then you could always throw in a coaching session or whatever it is whatever it is you could pull without being too much extra legwork. And that's how I think you'd be able to push the individual. That's the only way to do that. That's what's worked for me. That's what's worked for my people. So
Yeah. Okay. So micro commitment, get a micro commitment
micro
from them.
commitment, micro commitment.
I really love that. I see that as twofold. So number one, you're getting them a micro commitment to go check on what they need to check on and get back with you hopefully pretty quickly, right? That you guys are going to meet again pretty quickly. However, whatever that looks like. Obviously we like to close the deal on right then and there. But in our ecosystem, a lot of times it's that exploration call, right? And then the speaker goes and creates a program proposal, gets that within 5 days, right? Gets that to the decision maker. And then hopefully within a couple days from that, right, can meet again and close the deal. But what I also like to see, and Dr. Jairo, tell me if this aligns with you. What I like to see is, yes, the micro commitment to me, but actually the micro commitment to themselves. And that takes a little bit of psychology to do. So in that comes some of the questioning, right? How committed are you to overcome this situation? Or how committed are you to increasing your retention rates by 20% next quarter, whatever it might be? Oh, I'm very, very committed. This is important. We've got to, well, they just made a micro commitment, whether they realized it or not. And that's got some stickiness to it, that's got some power to it. So can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I'm smiling because I actually used this line last week as I was having my discovery calls. I was like on a 1 to 10 scale, right? 10 being you really want to learn a raise, 1 being it's not priority to you. On a 1 to 10 scale, what you're thinking? Do you really want to resolve this issue or stay where you're at, right? That's why I said it just like that, and almost everyone said, you know what? 10. I want you to help me, right? And the good part about those discovery calls is they were with me 6 hours, right? 5-6 hours during a live virtual summit. So by the time I got to the discovery call, it was very warm, very loose, so I had a little edge there. But yeah, so one of those micro commitments was that, right? They were saying yes, and then of course scheduling that final call, right? So absolutely, that's one way to gauge whether they're serious or not.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so what are some of the top mistakes you see people make pretty routinely in their negotiation style?
Almost the opposite of what we discussed earlier. Not doing their homework, freestyling things, winging it. No, I always, even as something as simple as like going on someone's website or checking out someone's LinkedIn profile goes a long way, right? It makes a difference, right? So just doing your homework, or not doing their homework, not doing their research, coming very unprepared to the meeting, coming late. Right? That's a pet peeve of mine. Yeah, so that's basically that's mistakes I've seen when people try to pitch me, is like they're late, they're unprepared, they don't do their research, and I get a lot of solicitations like, hey, Dr. Jairo, have you ever thought about writing a book? I was like, if you did your research, I just wrote I wrote a bestseller. Hello, right? So that's a pet peeve of mine. So
yeah, that can be, humiliating yourself and presenting yourself as disingenuous is a deal breaker right there, right?
Not a deal maker, deal breaker.
Love it. Yeah. If they catch you trying to wing it and it's just so disingenuous. It's not authentic, and nobody wants to deal with someone they don't feel like they can fully trust. And at that point, they don't even really like you. So if they don't like you and they don't trust you, the deal is gone, right? It's just not going to happen. So I guess to that end, we may have already talked about it, but maybe you can go even a little bit deeper. I know that you go in depth in some of these other programs that you create, and then you've got your books as well. But if you could get out to the world, just do these top 3 things, your deals are going to go much, much better, right? They're going to get you to your goals much, much quicker. What are those top 3 elements that everyone should really master when it comes to negotiating and making a new deal?
Top 3 things when negotiating. Number 1, again, I think we already spoke about it, is due diligence, homework, right? Beforehand. That's like half the battle, right? Number 2, being able to not just homework, but I would say time blocking. I would say like making that time, right? That not just helps with the deal making or raising capital, but it helps with negotiation as well. Why? Because you're setting time aside. Excuse me. Setting time aside to do your homework, do your research, and you know what? Kind of like how in sports you have to drill the, you do the drills, right? For in basketball or football or in baseball. You know what? Sometimes even whether I do it live with not what I'm doing here with my staff. Practice. You could practice drills like presentation, the speaking, the meeting. Practice. Practice, or even practice objections. Price, not interested. Practice that. That's huge. And then number 3, what am I going to say? Let me see. So due diligence, time block, practice. I think that's 3.
Yeah, that is. So I'd like to camp out on two of them here for a moment. Number 1, the time blocking. It's kind of a two-edged sword. So if you get to the small talk, like I've been with salespeople, right? Who, and basically you're kind of selling yourself. Hopefully you do it in a more relational way where it doesn't feel like that. But when you get onto that exploratory call with the decision maker, it needs to be sharp, concise. Don't overly do the warm up, right? Because then that
I
really
agree.
too starts seeming,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. You could build
And also
rapport,
it
right? There's one thing between building rapport, 2 or 3 minutes. I get that. But then don't spend 10, 20 minutes talking about the Mets or Yankees and then, all right, and then what? Right? So
exactly.
you got to make
And I've
that.
had salespeople who are wonderful human beings and they do that. And then you've got like 2 seconds to close the deal, right? Or 2 minutes to close
Exactly.
the deal.
Exactly.
Or you go over, which is
Yeah.
not respectful of their time, number one. And it's not positioning you as someone whose time is really valuable. If your time is valuable, you've got a hard stop and you respect the fact that they have a hard stop. If you can chit chat for 20 minutes and think that they're going to go over 20 minutes, and number one, you're not respecting their time. And number two, it means you don't really have a lot going on, right? So important. Get clear, concise, stay on topic, and it should be all about them, how you can answer to the solution that they need, right? It's not, you're not, you're not in this like interview. So if you treat it like you are a doctor giving a solution, a prescription to their situation, that's much different than feeling like you're on an interview and you've got to build yourself up, right? When's the last time we've gone to medical doctors? How horrible would it be if that medical doctor were sitting there and telling you, you know, the great college that he went to get his degree and the years that, and how many surgeries he's had and how fabulous he is. And you are so lucky for you to have him or her as your doctor, right? You would just be, can we just get to the solution? I really, you know, I've got this thing going on. I really just need to know what you're going to do for me. I don't, that's all great. Great. I saw the pictures on the wall, right? I saw your press kit in our world. But now I really need to know why you're the one that's going to be the best one to fix my situation. So that really quick call should be focused fully on that. Another little trick that I have found, I'd be interested to know if this is something that you have found. These exploratory calls are going to book at a much higher rate if you say 15 to 20 minutes. Once you say a half hour, hey, let's hop onto a half hour call, my mind is thinking, holy goodness, that's half of an hour. That is a lot of time that I have to now carve out of my day that should be being spent elsewhere to see if I'm even really very interested in you. I'm going to talk a little bit about practicing objections because that was another point that you brought up that I felt like was really, really important. When you are dealing with objections, it should be a partnership versus a no, actually, you're wrong about your objection. This is the truth, right? So you're coming against versus coming together with. So for instance, on a common objection, well, I need to check with my partner or I need to check with my spouse before I make that decision or investment, or I need to check with the board. That's the worst one. I hate that one. You need to take it to the board, right? So what I will generally encourage the person that I'm speaking with in that situation is first let them know you heard them. So I completely understand that you need to check with A, B, and C. That's fully understandable, and I support that. I do encourage you that when you bring them this opportunity, that you ask for support rather than permission. You've already met with me, you've already checked us out, and you feel like this would be a really powerful partnership, right? So present that and essentially ask them for support. If you go in asking for permission, that's a whole different position that you're putting yourself into. So, for instance, honey or board, um, I met with this organization who can really help us achieve ABC. Um, they are, you know, X money dollars. Can we do that? Right? That's one approach versus, hey, I met with this organization. this is where we are. This is where they can bring us. They've got a really strong track record. The value is there, right? Just one talk, let's say in the space of our particular speaker agency, just one talk can pay for the investment, and then we have all the value is ours from there, right? This is a really strong opportunity. I'd love your support on that. Right, much different energy. So that's just, you can kind of gently coach your person with some strategies for those objections versus saying, because I've been in front of salespeople who have said, "Oh, you don't need to go check with your person. You don't need to go check with them, right? Don't you have the authority to make that decision yourself?" And then I'm like, "Get out of my face, right? You don't. Who are you? You're not going to have me go against my process just because you want to close the sale, right? Much different energy."
No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's all about a partnership rather than just saying your person just said, "Hey, aren't you the decision maker?" Right? So it comes back to the due diligence, right? And if making sure that you're connecting with the right decision maker or with the right group, right? Even like if even something as simple as like insurance, right? Where there's both the wife and the husband, right? Or partners for that matter, right? So when it comes to that first meeting, you should have the two decision makers right then and there, right? And you avoid that. Let me check with my partner to see about a decision, right? But let's say if that doesn't happen, I agree. It's all about support, and I use an acronym that I learned from HubSpot and reading blogs over the years. Listen, acknowledge, explore, and respond. So listen, right? Agree, acknowledge, right? Then explore. Have a
Acknowledge.
couple of, if you do your homework, do some research, and have a couple of things in your head, and then be able to respond correctly.
I
So
really love
there you
that.
go.
So it
Layer.
was
Listen.
listen, acknowledge,
Yep.
explore,
Explore your option,
and then respond. How often? And we all have friends like this. We probably have an uncle or maybe even a spouse like this, where they're too quick to jump in with the solution. When a lot of times people just want to be heard. They want to know that you've acknowledged where they're at, and they want to know that they've been heard before. Because if they don't feel like they've been heard, how do you have the solution, right? You just have some pat answer, or you feel like you are king of the jungle and you've got all the answers. Nobody likes to receive from that. So really, in any relationship, whether it's familial or professional, the first order of business is taking a breath, stopping. Don't formulate your answer in your head before they've even gotten their words out.
Because you don't want it too rehearsed. You
Yeah.
want to make it natural, right?
Yeah,
Come
take
off
a
natural.
breath, listen, let them know that you acknowledge where they're coming from. So an example, I'd love to hear your example of what acknowledgement looks like. Does acknowledgement look like jump in with the solution right away? I acknowledge you have that problem. I'm going to jump in with the solution. What does that kind of look like in a real time situation?
Like, hey, Antoinette, I understand, price may be an issue. I also understand that right now your partner's not here. I apologize. Really sorry about that. Let's explore different options. And if it's okay with you, maybe we reconvene in a couple of weeks. My only micro commitment to you is, when we set up this next call, that make sure that all parties are involved. How does that sound? And you'd be like, great, sounds great. And that's it. And then that's how I would address that issue. Boom. Something as simple and polite like that. That's it.
Even how you said, how does that sound?
Yeah.
Is a micro commitment. That sounds
Right.
good. So I agree to that, basically.
Right.
It's kind of a micro commitment. The one thing I always play the devil's advocate, Dr. Jairo. So
It's
I
okay.
love this, right? A little bit.
Okay.
I think that apologizing is a difficult territory. If it's a sensitive territory, I should say. So I want to work with somebody who's highly confident. So appreciation is one thing.
That's
Listen,
what I
I
was just
appreciate the
saying.
time you've given. I understand that you need to check with A, B, or C. why don't we explore or recap, right? Some of the solutions that we've come together on. You talk with your person, bring them back here in a few days, and we'll put it all out on the table and see what the best answer is. How does that sound? Right? Type of thing.
Right.
Versus, I catch myself doing this all the time, Jairo, because we're nice people. I'll apologize, and it positions me differently. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, no,
kind of
you're
a
right.
human
You're right.
nature sort of thing. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I agree. I just came off natural. I'm trying to be less of that and more assertive. But you're right. It works for me. But you're right. I need to be more, confident when it comes to that. I
Yeah,
agree.
I had a girlfriend tell me something, and it's really kind of stuck with me. She said, we should own when, yeah, and not, this situation is kind of different, but you've just kind of led me down this road a little bit. We should own if there's an apology that is warranted, right? We should own that. Um, but there's a way to go about that. Now, what we just framed, there was no apology was necessary, right? What's necessary is acknowledgement of their time. Let's set another time when we have all parties present, right? So that's a factual thing. But there are times when when there's for some reason, right, we overlooked something and there is time for an apology. And this is not a direction we had planned to go, but it's actually a really important one, because when it comes to deal making, it's all about positioning. So, one of my girlfriends, we were at a conference together several months ago. Actually, it might have been a year ago already. Time goes by very, very fast. And we were just driving together en route, and she said, This was actually a sermon she was in, and or a ladies' Bible study. I don't remember. Anyway, she said the subject of saying you're sorry came up. And when you say, I am sorry, you're basically saying, I am sorrowful. I am sorrowful, which is kind of a negative energy if you're sorrowful, right? However, if you apologize, hey, I apologize for ABC, let's move forward. It's a little bit different energy where I'm sorrowful versus, hey, I acknowledge that I could have handled that better. Let's move forward. This is not a direction that we thought about going in this interview, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Dr. Jairo.
No, that's a good point. It may have a negative connotation, or right. I apologize versus I acknowledge. Right. It's two different. Right. Conversation could go two different ways. So I totally agree with you there. So
And kind of solution based, right? Versus
right.
woe is me kind of
Right.
based. And even when someone shares something that's painful for them, maybe they lost somebody that they love, and we say, I am sorry. Yeah, you're sorrowful with them, but there's also a way to approach that is a little bit more positive. My heart is with you. What you're going through, and I am praying for, or I wish you strength and peace. Whatever it may be. It's a nuance, but it's kind of moving towards a more positive direction. And in negotiations, we got to be thinking about that, especially we've got 15 to 20 minutes, right, to close that deal, at least in the context of a speaking contract or a corporate training contract. Usually, by the time somebody gets on the phone to negotiate with you, they have seen hopefully, if you're doing it the right way, if you're doing it the Antoniette Roze way, they have seen your press kit. They have watched a clip of you speaking. They've got all the this and that's, right? So on that call, you are basically hearing what their pain is and offering a solution to that. It's not an interview, it's an intervention, right? It's not an interview, it's let's come together, let's partner on this to get you to where you want to be.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. This is a great conversation.
Much more
Yeah, I
stronger.
agree. Nah,
Say that.
fantastic interview.
Yeah. So it's a mindset shift, and I know that you are an expert in mindset and in strategy, and negotiation is very psychological and very strategic. And if you go into it just thinking you're going to sell the this and that's never going to get you the deal, or at least definitely not the best deal. You never sell the this and that's, right? You don't sell the nuts and bolts of the home you're building, and in this case, the solution you're building. You sell that end product, the feel of what it's going to feel like when you enter that home, or when you can close the door and that becomes your safe haven, right? Your respite. You're selling that vision of what happens on the other side of the problem. So, how do you, Dr. Jairo, create that mental bridge for those that you coach when, they've got this fabulous thing and they just want to sell the fabulous thing, versus the languaging of helping the other person paint the picture of what it looks like after that solution is
Yeah,
implemented?
no, great, fantastic question. Regardless of who I talk to, the first step is always mindset, right? It's always that mind shift, right? From you can't to you can, right? Once you're able to make that shift, then what I call it walking the bridge, right? Then basically going through the exercise of walking the bridge, and then having the tools and resources and scripts, right, to go ahead and do what they got to do, right? And then once they do that, then it's about the end goal. Like I actually one of my first exercises that I do with my new students is like I read the book 12-week year. I'm a big fan of it, right? So it's all about the 12 week
What's the
the
book?
12-week year. Yeah, 12 week year.
12-week
Yeah.
year.
So
12 year. Who's the author?
I'll have to get back to you on that. but
No
but
worries.
it,
Go
but
ahead.
it's basically having your 12 uh your 12 months and thinking about it in 12 weeks, right? So with that being said, the first exercise is going over the vision and mission. Like, where do you see yourself in 3 years, right? And then basically the reason why I have them do that is so that whatever tactics they have towards their goals, towards their vision, it's their motivation, or their why at the end, right? So, which makes it a lot easier to raise capital, which makes it a lot easier to negotiate contracts, a lot easier to speak, right? So once you have the mindset, once I have them walk the bridge, once I'm have them read that book, the 12-week year, once I have them do the vision, understand their vision, and understand their why, it makes it a lot easier to raise, or to do what you got to do. So,
Ooh, okay. You brought up
no,
another key that I love, that I think that gets glossed
yeah,
over quite a bit, and that is
yes,
clarity sells. Right, a confused mind doesn't buy. So if you come in confused, disjointed, hey, I'm all things to you, right? What do you need? I can be that. Then number one, there's
yeah,
a lack of trust, right? If I had a home builder come in and said, hey, I can build your home, but I can also train you how to ski, right? I'm just like, I really just want a builder who's going to
right,
get my house right, right? Don't tell me about all the other things. I
exactly,
can fix your car, right? Don't tell me about all that. I really want to know that you can be the best person, the best choice to get done what I need to get done, right? So the clearer you are, the more you are going to sell the thing better. Right, you sell yourself better. Another thing that you said that I feel is key is if you don't see the bigger picture, if you don't paint that bigger picture. So you should always have your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, and then reverse
yeah,
engineer from there. What are the milestones, and then what are the mile markers to get to those milestones, right? And you reverse engineer, and then you build the kingdom you
yep,
actually want to live in once you get there. But if you don't have that so clear, you could say it in your sleep, right? When it comes to your solution that you bring to those organizations, number one, they're going to see right through it. Your audience will see right through it. You can try to fake it, but people can see right through it. And there's no way for them to connect the dots, right? If there's one dot missing, let's say it's a chain. If there's one chink in that chain that's missing, everything falls apart. They walk away. They might have loved your personality. They might have gotten a couple of laughs. They might have even taken a few great notes, right? But they're not going to remember you, because that isn't going to be a lasting transformation, because there's something in there that was missing. So number one, you've tried to accomplish too much too soon. And number two, you weren't clear enough. I feel like the only way to paint the bigger picture is to have the steps that get there. And if you skip a step, they're going to be stuck on the other side of that bridge, and you won't fully be that bridge. Can you speak to that a little bit? Put a little plainer than I did.
No. A great point. I got before I forget. 12-Week Years, written by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. There you go.
Okay, Brian Moran and
No, yeah. So the exercise walking the bridge is basically I'm walking them through the mindset, and not just the mindset, but the actual steps needed to get to point B or point C. So that it's obviously we don't actually walk a bridge, but that's what it's about. It's about the steps needed to get to the other side, which in my case in the program is learning to raise capital, right? And then which ties into the bigger picture, which is what would an extra $100,000, $200,000, $1 million do for you and your business? A lot of people say it's life changing. It's insane. I could it'll change my business forever, or I can help the kids, this and that. So it's all about being able to have. That's my job. My job is being able to have folks grow their vision or use their vision as motivation and reverse re-engineer exactly with the proper steps and processes in order to get there, right? So that is what the goal of walking the bridge exercises.
Walking the bridge, yeah. We call it the pain solution bridge, and it's just a little bit different approach.
Right.
But you have to be that bridge, right? That which is the solution. They're here. Yeah. They're here on this side with all the problems and the worries, right? They need to get on the other side, but how do they do it? How do they get over? You're that solution for them.
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Jairo, I know that at this point in the SpeakPact show, there are a good number of people who want to know how to find you. I know you're on LinkedIn. What are some of the ways you like to be found?
Yeah, they could reach out to me via LinkedIn, my DM, Dr. Jairo Borja, or they could go to my website, borjaconsultinggroup.com, and contact us and fill out an inquiry form there as well.
Fabulous. Okay, so for those that are just listening in and you're not seeing the video, it's Dr. Dr. Period, right? Borja, 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 and Jairo is Jairo.
You got it. Yes.
Jairo. Love it. Okay, so my signature question at the end, and basically that is for you to give the SpeakPact audience a challenge that they can begin today that's going to make them a better negotiator and better deal maker. What is that challenge you'd like to give the SpeakPact audience?
If they were paying attention earlier, what has worked for me, time block. and time block as much as you can, right? Time block your gym, time block your prayer, time block everything, because if it's not on the phone, you're not going to do it. That's my challenge to everybody.
Okay, so I'd like to know what time blocking means to you, because I think it means a little bit different to everyone. And I find it very powerful as well. I really like the Pomodoro technique. But what are some of your techniques that keep you on track, that keep you getting to that gym, that keep you in your prayer room in the morning, however it is, and to keep you as productive and as successful as you are, Dr. Jairo? Just what are some of your strategies on time blocking? Because we all kind of have, I think, a different idea of what that means.
Yeah, no, very simple. Like I time block my networking time, which is like follow up. I put it on my calendar basically. Like I time block my gym time, which is the AM, right? I time block, of course, have scheduled meetings or podcasts, right? As that as well. So that's my interpretation of time block, being able to set time aside for follow up, for business development, for the gym, for prayer, whatever it is. So that's my definition. So
if it's important to you, it's on your calendar.
It's my calendar. Bingo. There you go. Okay. Exactly.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for being with us today, Dr. Jairo. You brought some really great insights to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Antoniette. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. See, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your show.
You are so welcome. It was a pleasure having this time with you, and for the SpeakPact audience to give your thank you to Dr. Jairo and to me for the time and the solutions that we brought to you today. Definitely give a love, a like, share, post it forward, do all those things that help other people find this show as well. And for now, we're going to say ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening to the SpeakPact podcast. To become a recommended speaker of Antoniette's WPC speaker agency, or you are a host or planner looking for a dynamic expert in optimized performance, Antoniette would like to personally meet with you. secure a time with her at speakerbooker.com. Again, that is speakerbooker.com. It all begins with a vision, a voice, and a pact to impact. Join the SpeakPact movement by joining our new private Facebook group at the link in our show notes. Find us on nearly every social media platform at One Antoniette. That's number 1, ANTONIETTE, or simply hashtag SpeakPact.